Hello again. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for viewing it. My name is Walter, and I want to once again recognize my first subscriber, Jacob. Thank you, my friend. You have restored my faith in humanity. I got 10 views on my last video, so I finally hit that goal. I attribute it to the interest of ABBA and the power of ABBA, but I thank you anyway. Please like, subscribe, or comment below. You can be sure I will reply. Now let me start this with a disclaimer. I'm going to talk about wokeness, political correctness, diversity, and other flashpoints. So I'm not condoning, I'm just discussing. Now, since no one watches this channel, I'm going to go ahead anyway. Last May, UCLA released its annual Hollywood Diversity Report. I will post a link below if I can figure out how. But as reported in Variety, and I quote, UCLA's annual Hollywood Diversity Report, this year subtitled Pandemic in Progress, reports that in 2020, films with casts that were made up of 41 to 50% minorities took home the highest median gross at the box office, while films with casts that were less than 11% minority performed the worst. These films included Bad Boys for Life, which was 2020's top-earning film at the box office with $427 million, Birds of Prey, which came in at number 5 with $202 million, and Onward, which came in 7th with $141.9 million. They all contained casts that fell into the range of 41 to 50% minority, with top earner Bad Boys for Life actually having a cast that was over 50% minority. Of course, it's worth noting three of these films were released prior to the onset of the pandemic. Numerous films were postponed or released straight to streaming services in 2020, making comparisons to the previous year most difficult. Yes, I think that's very much the case, but let's continue with the article. The UCLA study also shows that people of color purchased the majority of domestic opening weekend tickets for 6 of the top films released in theaters in 2020. The study notes that this figure is slightly higher than the proportion of people of color in the overall U.S. population, with people of color accounting for 40% of the total population in 2020. A similar trend was found when it came to streaming. When the top films released onto streaming services in 2020, ratings were highest for viewers in the 18 to 49 group, as well as white, black, Latinx, and Asian households, where the films featured a cast containing 21 to 30% minority actors. The top film on streaming was Onward, which contained a 41 to 50% minority cast, followed by Spencer Confidential, which fell in the 21 to 30 range. Both the third and fourth spots were claimed by films featuring a cast that was over 50% minority, Hamilton and Extraction. In fact, only one film on the top 10 streaming list was less than 11% minority, and that was The Wrong Missing. So, some broad assumptions and some interesting stuff about demographics and viewing and what it all means. But let's talk about who funded this report. The financial support was provided by the Division of Social Sciences at UCLA, the Walt Disney Company, Netflix, NBC Universal, Hulu, and the Latino Film Institute. An interesting list. Make of it what you wish. I don't want to get sued. I'm barely grazing the surface of this report. It's 52 pages. There are multiple charts by race, age, demographics, income, but the conclusion is, with 40% of the viewers being people of color, recognizing them is the most profitable thing for Hollywood to embrace. So when a longtime Marvel Comics reader goes to the movies and sees characters with different race or sex or sexual orientation, is it now fair to ask if this is strictly about representation, or is it about a few more dollars hidden under the disguise of diversity? Most likely, it's my opinion that this gives studios the validation that they are doing the right thing. And as many other people have suggested, much of Hollywood is making movies for their peers and not for the fans. It reminds me of the old saying, paralysis from analysis. Way too much thinking about the checklist of diversity and not near enough on the actual story and direction. Maybe the studios could use some of that extra cash to hire better writers. In my opinion, this is a flawed study because there's no consistent type of movies being released. Certainly, a Black Panther or a Bad Boys for Life is going to get a stronger minority representation than, say, James Bond or another basically white heterosexual lead. But comparing these is difficult. And the other thing to consider is when you have no major tentpole movie being released. James Bond was postponed during this period. Black Widow was postponed. How much does that affect these numbers? Because people don't have a choice. Less choice means more focus on specific titles. Talking about race and diversity is always dangerous. Let me be clear, I'm not saying diversity or representation is a bad thing. It's inevitable and in many cases overdue. I am just saying a bad movie with a diverse cast is just as bad as a non-diverse bad movie, and that the studios may not be enlightened as you think they are. They see green as the most important color. I'm only pointing out that the studio's altruism may be much more benign than you think. Specifically relating to Marvel, so far, this part of Phase 4 has been sloppy. The films have not served the woke ideas of the diverse casts well. They have the Eternals coming up in November, and they've clearly checked all the boxes for that one. But I can already hear the grumbling about the movies coming out after that. Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange 2, Thor Love and Thunder, basically white protagonist leads, and that always starts the grumbling. Let's hope these movies will be good enough to have any serious discussion about that. Anyway, my name is Walter. Thank you for viewing. Please like, comment, or subscribe. It would help my self-esteem immensely. Thank you and take care.